Okay, so what we're doing today is we're going to learn how to format some text using Google Docs now. Excellent. You probably know how to do some basic stuff. You probably know how to make something bold. So up here along the ribbon, italics, underline, you probably know how to change the font size. By the way, in a couple of assignments, you're going to see the letters PT. It stands for points. And that's these numbers here. So each one of these represents a certain number of points, 8 points, 12 points, and so on. You probably know how to change the font face to different things, and we're not going to worry too much about that. What we're going to do is we're going to do line spacing, and then paragraph spacing, paragraph alignment, and some indents. And each one of those, well, for most of those, there's a couple of ways of doing it. I'm going to show you one, maybe two, but then I'm going to get you to kind of work with that. And if you know a third in some cases, or if I show you one and you know the second, that's great, but I'm not too worried about it if you know a different way. I'm more worried about the people who don't know a way. So, for line spacing, then there's a couple of options. I'm going to start by selecting all my text. So we know a keyboard shortcut to do that. If I didn't want to do all of the paragraphs or each of the paragraphs, I would do something different. So there's a couple of places I can get to this. The easiest one is right here along the ribbon, and the button even says line spacing. Now if I click on that, I have a few options. 1.15, which spaces it out just a little bit more, 1.5, double, and then there's custom spacing. Just to kind of keep things nice and simple, I'm just going to go with 1.15. When you get an assignment, it'll be different. You notice that one just spaces it out a little bit more. The other thing, though, is space between the paragraphs. So I actually have, on this document, a paragraph here, a second paragraph there, and a third paragraph at the bottom. So I actually have 3 paragraphs. And right now, the paragraphs are jammed in really tight together. So what I want to do is I want to space them out a little bit. I'm going to go to the same spot. So where it says line spacing, I have an option to add space before the paragraph, add space after the paragraph. I can also do some custom spacing. Now, I personally like the custom spacing because it allows me to do more things. So if you go to custom spacing, I can change these numbers to whatever I want. If I were just use the option of adding space before, adding space after, I get whatever the computer wants. So if I go with this one, I can have 6 before, I can have, I don't know, pick a number, 9 after. And what'll happen is I'll get spaces in between the paragraphs. And the important thing about this space is it's not a space I can access. Okay, and it's a little bit different. Like if you come to the end of a paragraph and you hit the enter key twice, you'll actually be able to get into that space between the paragraphs. With this as it is, you can't. So it's a nice way to doing that. The other thing is, now that I have it set up, if I were to hit enter and start typing, it's carried that formatting forward. In other words, if I start typing, the space is between those paragraphs. I also want to look at paragraph alignment, and paragraph alignment is up in the ribbon. Each one is its own button. There are a few options. There's left align, center align, right align, and justify. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just want to take it and go through it. Obviously, left align is the normal thing. If I click on center align, everything lines up in the center. Right align, and then finally justify. And justify is an interesting one because, and again on this one it doesn't really look like it's done much. It might show up better on this third paragraph. If I turn the third paragraph to justify, keep an eye on the right hand edge. You end up with a right hand edge that's all, the ends of the line rather, are all lined up. In order to do that, it's put extra large spaces in between some of the words. That's about it for that. The other one is indents. Now I'm going to go back to left align for this one. Indents. There's not really an easy way to do indents. There's not a button that does that. Now I guess you could say way up on the far right on the ribbon, I can do an indent. That's an option. I don't really like that option, but I can do indents that way. And I can do a left indent, so I can indent the left side. If I do that, you'll notice that it bumps across about 1/2 inch each time. So if I want to do anything different from that, I'm going to have to do something customized. Oops, sorry, back that one up. And there we go. So if I want something my own, up on the ruler, and if you don't see the ruler on yours, it's under the View menu, View the Ruler, actually show the ruler. So if the ruler is up and visible, and wherever I'm clicked in that paragraph, if I get the mouse onto the pointer rather, onto the bottom arrow where it says left indent, if I click and drag that over, I'm going to go somewhere there, let go, that whole paragraph moves over. And that's pretty easy. If I'm in the next paragraph and I'm trying to grab the box on top here where it says first line indent, click and drag that over, you'll notice the downward facing arrow stays put. I let go and I've moved just the first line. The other thing that's possible is what's called a hanging indent. And a hanging indent is a little bit weird to do in this program. What I have to do is I have to push the paragraph over, so I'm going to go over to 1 inch. And then I have to take the top box, the first line indent, and move it back. And it seems like kind of a klutzy way of doing things, and other programs have a much better way of doing things, but then I get what's called a hanging indent. I'm going to go back to the top paragraph for a second, because I have a left indent. I can also do a right indent, and right there I can move that over as well. So now I've indented from the left and the right. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because it's totally possible for me to use the indent button or the increase indent button to do a left indent, but I don't have a button to do a right indent. So I would have to use the ruler. There's a couple of other things on the ruler. So as I was trying to get the right spot on the mouse, I was hovering over here and it said left margin. I'm not going to mess with that too much. There's a right margin over there. So there's things that I can do that I don't want to do at this point. But so for for formatting a paragraph, those are probably the things that you might not have known. Line spacing, maybe. Indents, possibly. A couple of the other things, maybe not. Anyhow, there'll be some assignments to work on that, and that will be it. And we'll try and do these a little bit more often for other new skills.